From homeless black man to millionaire, Elon Musk and Donald Trump's journey. Jack Turner stood outside the grand iron gates of the Lancaster Club in New York, his breath catching in his throat. The night sky stretched black above the glittering skyline, sharp and cold. The clubhouse was a temple of wealth, gold trim on giant glass doors, marble floors gleaming under chandeliers dripping with crystals, and the soft murmur of power echoing inside. But tonight? Jack wasn't just an outsider. He was a ghost from a past nobody knew about, a secret buried so deep it could shatter everything he'd built. The bouncer stepped forward, broad and unyielding. "Sorry, Mr. Turner, entry denied." Jack's heart slammed, a punch to his chest, tight and cruel. The room behind that door wasn't just a place. It was his world now. A world of billion-dollar deals, headlines screaming tech visionary, pictures with presidents and celebrities. A life made from pure invention. And yet here he was, stopped cold by shadows from years ago. What nobody talked about was how Jack's journey hadn't been a straight line. Before the spotlight, before the razzle-dazzle, he'd been a homeless kid on the streets of Chicago. No family, no handouts, just a beaten-up backpack and a will to survive. He clawed out of the gutter with nothing but raw grit and laptops scavenged from dumps. Now, the silence between Jack and the bouncer was loud, like a drumbeat counting down the end of a dream. Inside, Marcus Williams watched from the balcony, swirling a glass of expensive scotch. Marcus, with his calm smile and perfectly tailored suit, was known as a philanthropist, a man who poured millions into education and social causes. But tonight, behind those polite eyes, there was fire. A plan to shake the very walls of this exclusive circle. He saw Jack's rejection and felt a crack in their perfect world. A crack he was ready to widen. As the crowd inside buzzed with champagne, Jack's jaw clenched. "You don't know the half of it," he said, trembling hands shoved deep in his coat pockets. "You think your charity work changes anything? You're just another part of this circus." The tension snapped. People nearby stopped chatting, their eyes flicking between the two men. A whispered shock slicing through the velvet air. Phones came up, cameras whispered, and social media buzzed alive, feeding on the confrontation like flames licking dry wood. Marcus swallowed the bitter lump in his throat. "You're hiding something, Jack. Something that could bring everything crashing down. I'm not afraid. And you shouldn't be either." Jack looked away, pain flashing in his eyes. Memories of a younger self, desperate and broken, mistakes that could ruin him if uncovered. But Marcus's gaze was steady, haunted by his own secrets. A family betrayal that branded its own ugly scar. The night stretched tight, electric. Both men stood on edge, caught between fear and defiance, knowing every word could ignite a scandal far bigger than themselves. Behind the locked doors, the elite held their breath, because that one secret from Jack's past was about to explode into the open. And when it did, it wouldn't just be a man's career in ruins. It would be the fault line beneath their glittering club, threatening to shatter the whole picture of privilege and power. What dark truth lurks in Jack's history? And can Marcus's fire really burn down the walls of a world that refuses to change? This night was far from over, and neither man would leave untouched. Hey, before we continue with this amazing, take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact! The night stretched on, thick with anticipation. Jack felt Marcus's fiery stare, each second amplifying the tension between them. The silence hummed, a tightly wound string about to snap. He could barely breathe. Thoughts tangled in his mind like autumn leaves caught in a storm. And then, the world cracked open. A sharp shout pierced the air. "Jack, run!" The voice was unmistakable, echoing from a figure that rushed from the shadows. Nina, his old friend from the streets, the only one left who knew the truth. Panic etched on her face. Jack's heart lurched. What was happening? Marcus turned, confusion flickering across his expression. The crowd's laughter froze as eyes turned to witness the unfolding chaos. Jack barely had time to process before Nina was at his side, urgency radiating off her small frame. "They're coming for you, Jack. We need to go." "What? Who's coming?" he stammered. Anxiety gripped him like a vice, tight and suffocating. But before she could answer, the doors of the Lancaster Club erupted open. A surge of neatly dressed men in dark suits spilled out, flashing badges that gleamed under the chandelier light. Eyes widened in shock. Gasps rustled through the crowd. A voice cut through the noise, the sharp crack of power. "Jack Turner, we need to speak with you. Now!" It was the police, or worse. Jack felt the ground shift beneath him, reality teetering. His world, built on hard work, late nights dreaming of success, threatened to topple like a house of cards. Panic wrestled with confusion. "Nina, what's going on?" His heart raced. The air felt raw. She grabbed his arm, her grip hot with urgency. "I can explain later. Just trust me, we have to move." But Marcus had stepped forward, his calm demeanor cracking. "What's this about?" he demanded, voice low and fierce. "What do you want with him?" "They have a warrant," Nina hissed, her eyes darting. "They know about everything." Jack's gaze darted between Marcus and the approaching officers, dread pooling in his stomach. "Everything? What do you mean?" Nina took a breath, her voice trembling. "They found out about the company, about the funding." Before she could finish, a heavy hand landed on Jack's shoulder, freezing him like ice. "Mr. Turner, we know you're connected to some illegal dealings. It's time to come with us." The rush of disbelief made Jack's chest tight. Sweat beads coated his skin. Memories flashed, the old days, scraped knuckles. Survival by any means. He'd vowed to leave that life behind. Now it clawed its way back. "What illegal dealings?" Jack's voice cracked. The crowd buzzed with intrigue, whispers curling around them like smoke. Each glance felt like daggers. Before Jack could respond, Marcus spoke up, fury igniting in his eyes. "This is a setup. Jack's not involved with anything illegal. You can't do this." But Nina's expression shifted. Fear replaced by something darker. "Marcus, it's not what you think. Jack, he was never just a homeless man." She turned to the officers. "He's the reason many are in jail. They'll blame him if you take him in." The words hung in the air, heavy like a storm cloud. Jack felt the world shift beneath him, a core truth he never wanted revealed, laid bare. "What are you talking about?" Confusion morphed into despair. "Nina, don't!" But she pressed on, voice trembling but resolute. Jack helped launder money for the old gang. They'll come for him, and it could blow everything apart. His stomach twisted. Betrayal sliced deeper than any knife. The crowd gasped as Jack's secrets unfurled like a dark tapestry. In that moment, everything changed. Marcus's eyes betrayed a flicker of realization. The weight of the night crashed down. Dreams, reputation, everything now hung in the balance. "Jack," Marcus whispered, his voice now thick with doubt. "What have you done?" As more officers stepped forward, Jack glanced between his past and present, caught in a whirlwind of chaos. Hope flickered, gasping for air beneath the burdens of truth. In that monumental moment, amidst the frenzy, Jack realized this was just the beginning. No more hiding, no more pretending. The night promised more than he could ever foresee. The outcome loomed, dark and uncertain, waiting to wrap around him like a shroud. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, the tension wrapping around them like a noose. He could feel the weight of the room pressing down, the anticipation like 1,000 tiny pricks against his skin. And then, as if the universe had decided to play its cruel hand, an unexpected sound sliced through the air, a loud crash echoing from inside the Lancaster Club. Glass shattered, and the laughter turned into gasps, followed by chaotic whispers rippling through the crowd. Jack's attention shifted, eyes wide. The bouncer glanced back through the glass doors, his stoic demeanor momentarily cracked. He turned to the crowd, confusion knitting his brow. Jack strived to read Marcus's expression. Was this some part of the plan? Did he cause this? His stomach churned with dread. But then he saw it. The figure that stumbled inside, fear and panic etching every line on their face. A woman, wild-haired and disheveled, clutching a crumpled paper in her hand. She rushed through the doorway, her eyes scanning the room until they locked onto Jack's. In that instant, every joyful smile faded, every cheery remark silenced. "Jack!" she shouted, her voice breaking, cutting through the silence like a knife. "Jack, you have to—" Before she could finish, 2 security guards rushed toward her, but she wouldn't be stopped. They know everything!" She stumbled, nearly falling, as she fought to catch her breath. "I didn't want to tell you like this, but they're coming for you." A pulse of dread hit Jack hard, the fear morphing into something darker. The crowd gasped, eyes widening, phones recording every moment, like vultures circling a carcass. "What are you talking about?" Jack shouted, confused and terrified. The whispers rose around him like waves crashing against the shore, drowning out any sense of reality. "Years ago, what happened in Chicago? They'll expose you." Her voice cracked, trembling with urgency. "The truth about your parents. You need to get out while you can." The room began to spin. Jack's past, a desperate flip through the pages of his life he had never wanted to revisit. Old memories flooded back. The rage, the shame, the fear. What did she mean? His parents? No, that wasn't something to touch. Not now. "Stop!" "You don't know what you're saying," he yelled. But the look in her eyes told him she wasn't just panicking. Marcus stepped forward, narrowing his gaze. "What truth?" he demanded, voice low, serious. Jack felt a chill creep down his spine. This wasn't just about him anymore. The bouncer held back the guards, but those inside the club were no longer filled with jovial chatter. They were mere spectators, witnesses to a catastrophe about to unfold. The woman pushed through, her eyes wild. "I was there. I know what happened. Jack, please. And then it came, a sharp crack from another door. And Jack turned just in time to see masked figures entering. Panic erupted, people stumbling back, some screaming, others shielding their eyes. The intruder swept the room, directing menacing glances at everyone. Jack's breath caught as he grabbed the woman's arm tighter. Who are they? What do they want? But before she could respond, one of the figures stepped forward, an unsettling grin lighting up their face. We want the truth, Jack, and we're here to take it all. His world tilted, the laughter now a haunting echo. The walls he'd carefully built began to crumble, the weight of secrets and lies crushing down. Jack stood frozen, a mix of fear and resolve battling inside him. What had he hidden in the shadows? What truth lurked behind the mask of success he wore? This was no longer just a confrontation. It was a reckoning. Jack had to decide, would he face the fire or let the inferno consume him whole? The night was far from over, and the stakes were impossibly high. Jack stood rigid, the words hanging in the air like smoke. They know what happened in Chicago. The room felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. The masked figures advanced, eyes glinting with menacing purpose. He gripped the woman's arm tighter, needing something solid to hold on to. "Get out now!" she cried, her voice a high-pitched plea. Marcus stepped in front of Jack, his body tense. "You don't want to do this," he warned, every word a trembling line drawn in the sand. The crowd churned with growing panic. Phones rolled out, capturing every moment. "Step aside," one of the intruders ordered, their voice low and chewing. Jack's heart raced as he felt the stifling weight of fear settle over him. But then came a loud bang. A door swung open behind the masked figures, and a familiar face appeared. It was Detective Lena Reyes, her expression fierce. "Step back, hands where I can see them." Gasps echoed through the crowd. The masked figures hesitated, glancing at one another, uncertainty seeping into their confidence. Jack felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this would turn the tide. But then, everything shattered. One of the intruders pulled out something shiny and pointed it at Detective Reyes. "You should be careful who you threaten," they said with a sneer. "You have no idea what you're getting into." Jack's breath caught again, the world narrowing to that one moment, the tension thick as molasses. Reyes didn't flinch, her eyes focused and fierce. "I know exactly what I'm doing," she shot back. The crowd buzzed with alarm. "What is happening?" someone whispered. Then the woman next to Jack gasped. "You don't understand. It's all connected. It's not just him." "What do you mean?" Jack pressed, still holding her arm. "What's connected?" Suddenly, she pulled away, her expression shifting from fear to determination. "This was never just about your past, Jack. It's about hers." She pointed at Detective Reyes, and Jack's stomach dropped. "What? No!" Jack protested. "Lena's on our side." But the incendiary look in the woman's eyes told a different story. "She's tied to the very people hunting you down. She knows your secret, Jack. She knows everything." Silence fell like a blanket, suffocating and heavy. Lena's face betrayed nothing, but Jack could see it, the slight twitch, the tightening of her jaw. "Lena?" he whispered as the world tilted beneath him. "I swear I can explain," she started. But the mask fell, the truth hanging between them like a chasm. Jack's heart sank, realization crashing over him like icy water. "Explain what? How you've been lying to me?" His voice trembled, the betrayal carving deep lines of doubt into his trust. The crowd leaned in, drawn close, whispers traveling like fire through dry grass. Lena's hands clenched into fists. "It's not like that, Jack. I had to protect you." "Protect me? Or protect yourself?" Jack's breath quickened, memory swirling. Those late-night calls, her careful questions. It all made sense now. Every detail lay bare like scars woven into his history. A sudden movement caught his eye as the masked figures shifted, those menacing eyes narrowing, and the tension snapped. A gunshot rang out. Screams erupted. Jack's heart raced. He aimed his gaze back toward Lena, desperation clawing at him. "What does all this mean for us, Lena?" But before she could answer, another masked figure lunged toward her, and chaos reigned. Jack's mind raced. Everything he thought he understood crumbled. The night had transformed, a whirlwind of betrayal and danger. And now it was about survival. "Come on!" he shouted, taking her hand, but the truth loomed larger than any enemy. What had he stumbled into? How deep did this deception run? In the chaos, Jack felt an unexpected surge of resolve. There had to be a way to make it right. But at what cost? The night stretched on, each choice weighing heavier than the last, leading them down a path no one was ready for. The night was electric, charged with an intensity that twisted in Jack's stomach. He locked eyes with Marcus, the tension thick like a cold fog. Every second felt like an eternity, suspended between impending confrontation and unspoken truths. And then the stillness shattered. A loud crash echoed from inside the Lancaster Club, interrupting their standoff. Glass shattered, followed by a cacophony of frantic voices. Jack's head snapped back to the entrance just in time to see the club's doors swing open, a wave of chaos spilling forth. The crowd inside panicked, spilling out into the street like frightened sheep. "Alert! Alert!" someone yelled, and suddenly the glossy floor was a battlefield. Jack's heart raced. "What the hell is happening?" he muttered, adrenaline coursing through his veins. But as the frenzy unfolded, one figure vaulted through the chaos, a silhouette, unyielding, sprinting toward him. It was a man dressed in black, adrenaline-fueled desperation etched in every move. Before Jack could process the scene, the man skidded to a halt, breathless, eyes wide with terror. "Jack, we need to go. Now!" Jack blinked. "Who the hell are you?" "It's not safe here." The man grabbed Jack's arm, urgency twisting his features. "There's no time. They'll come for you." Confusion washed over him, and then a sickening realization dropped like a stone in his chest. "What do you mean? Who's coming for me?" "Your past! It's back, Jack! They know!" Marcus stepped closer, narrowing his eyes at the newcomer. "What are you talking about?" "Shut up," the man spat, turning sharply. "This isn't about you." The energy in the air shifted. Everyone watching shifted back, eyes darting between Jack, Marcus, and this stranger. Panic spread through the crowd, whispers buzzing like angry bees. Then, a dark SUV screeched to a halt at the curb, tires screaming against the pavement. The windows rolled down, revealing men in suits, expressionless, eyes cold as ice. The atmosphere thickened, fear palpable wrapping around them like a vice. "Jack Turner!" one of the men barked, voice booming over the chaos. "You need to come with us." Jack's legs felt like lead. "No, I'm not going anywhere!" "Jack, they're here for your past," the stranger hissed, eyes darting toward the SUV. "If you stay, they'll ruin everything you've built." A flower of doubt bloomed in his chest. Everything he fought for could unravel in the blink of an eye. But amidst the fear, there was one more thing: the crushing guilt. The secret he kept buried so deep it corroded him. As he took a step back, uncertainty flickered across Marcus's face. "Jack, who are these people?" His voice dipped low, more a plea than a question. Then, another sound. A gunshot rang out, sharp and jarring. The crowd screamed, bodies scrambling for an exit. Jack's breath hitched, panic gripping him hard. "What have you done, Jack?" Marcus whispered in disbelief, his gaze searching Jack's face for answers. But before Jack could respond, the stranger yanked him back, urgency burning in his eyes. "We're out of time." Everything blurred. The world spun as the man pulled Jack away from the chaos, leaving Marcus behind, mouth agape, drowning in a tide of confusion. With each step taken into the night, Jack questioned everything he thought he knew. Darkness swirling around him, his past a shadow looming ever closer, whispering secrets that might be even more dangerous than he could ever imagine. And in that moment, it wasn't just Jack's future at stake, it was everything he had come to trust. The path before him darkened, a road filled with fear and uncertainty. The truth, he knew, was waiting to be uncovered, at a cost no one could afford. The night stretched on, electric and tense. Jack and Marcus faced off, worlds colliding in the shimmering chaos of the Lancaster Club. The air was thick, almost suffocating with the weight of their words. "But get down!" A high-pitched cry, frantic and sharp, echoed through the hall. Both men spun to the source. A woman, wide-eyed and shaking, pointed toward the entrance. The crowd turned, confusion painted on their faces. Then, a figure burst through the grand doors, disheveled, breathless, and wild-eyed. It was a young man, darting between the startled elite, clutching a tattered backpack like it was the last lifeline in a storm. "Help, please!" he yelled, desperation cracking his voice. "They're coming!" The tension flipped in an instant. Laughter turned to heartbeats. The crowd frozen like deer caught in the headlights. Jack's heart raced. Memories crashed over him, hurts and fears of a past he tried so hard to forget. "Who's coming?" Marcus asked, edging closer. The scotch in his glass trembled, reflecting only confusion. "I don't know," the young man gasped, his eyes darting around as if demons were chasing him. "I just escaped. They saw me." A sharp gasp rippled through the crowd, now mixed whispers blending into a tidal wave of panic. Jack's instincts kicked in. Push past the memories. Keep moving forward. But behind the newcomer's words was something more. An urgency that pricked at the edges of Jack's carefully shielded world. Then, with no warning, the lights flickered and went dark. Velvet curtains, draped across the windows, swallowed the soft city glow. The sound of glass crashing shattered the moment. Somewhere inside, silken laughter turned to yelps. The darkness thickened, a smothering blanket. Jack felt a tightening knot in his stomach. He could hear footsteps, hurried and scuffling, people trying to find their way. Then, a dull crash from somewhere close sent shivers racing down his spine. "What's happening?" Marcus demanded, his voice sharp and edged with panic. "Run!" the young man shouted, darting towards a side exit. "They'll take everyone!" "Who are you?" Jack's voice, floating above the chaos, desperate to understand. The young man hesitated, looking back at them, his eyes glistening with a mix of fear and urgency. I'm your brother, Jack. I came looking for you, but they're not far behind." The words hung heavy in the air, like a thunderstorm ready to break. Jack froze. Brother? 1,000 questions exploded in his mind, drowning every thought in a wave of shock. How could this be? He had never known. "Get out," Marcus said, his voice steady yet strained. "We need to leave now, together," Jack's mind raced. The past, tangled in blood and betrayal, stormed back to life. Could this even be true? Questions danced in chaos. Parts of him that he thought were buried deep surged uncontrollably. Someone screamed again, the chaos closing in. The world around them was shifting, the glittering club warping into a nightmare. Adrenaline surged. Jack turned to look at the young man, torn between disbelief and the flickering hope of connection. But before he could take a step, the doors slammed open again. The guards rushed in, faces grim and weapons drawn. "Stay where you are." Their voices throbbed with authority, but a flicker in their eyes showed fear too. The room was a pressure cooker, ready to explode. In that brief moment, every choice felt monumental, every consequence unbearable. Jack stood, caught between what he had known and what he was being pulled toward. What would he choose? Family? Lies? Or would he run into the dark unknown? The room sparked back to life with sudden urgency, and just like that, the game changed. Leaving behind the once safe haven of privilege and power, what truths lay waiting in the shadows? The night was far from over, and Jack's world was teetering on the edge of collapse. The night anchored on an uneasy air, tension wrapping Jack and Marcus in a knot of unspoken truths. As the murmurs swirled around them, Jack felt that moment stretch, a taut line ready to snap. Something trembled beneath the surface, crackling like static from a storm. Then, without warning, the club's heavy doors flung open. A flurry of panic settled over the crowd. There stood a newcomer, drenched in chaos. It was Jessica, Jack's estranged sister. Disheveled and wide-eyed, she entered like a gale, sweeping through the crowd and cutting through the chit-chat with a desperate cry. "Jack, we need to talk." Gasps rattled through the crowd. Phones snapped to life, capturing every second. Jack's heart dropped. Jessica? Here? He hadn't seen her in years, not since he'd vowed to leave everything behind. Memories flooded back, choking him. "Are you kidding me?" he hissed, turning away from the prying eyes, his mind racing. This isn't the time. But Jessica wouldn't budge. With a flick of her wrist, she silenced the whispers. It's about Mom and the truth. The blood drained from Jack's face, leaving a hollow ache. You don't understand. Marcus took a step back, the confusion and curiosity visible in his eyes. This was more than just a family squabble. It felt like a powder keg, ready to explode. The onlookers leaned in, anticipation crackling in the air. Mom, what does she have to do with this? Jack's voice trembled, a mix of fear and anger. 1,000 unspoken questions loomed. Leave. You don't. Jack, they're coming for you. Panic dripped from her words like rain. You thought you could escape, but everything's set to blow. The papers, they know about us, about Mom's past. They're ruthless. The shock pressed down hard. Jack staggered, memories like shards in his chest. His mother, once a figure of warmth, was now a whisper in buried secrets. What did you tell them? He spat, hot and furious. She had promised to keep their family story buried. The crowd shuffled closer, hungry for the drama. Eyes wide, whispers bounced from person to person, each revelation sinking deeper. Marcus stood, frozen, now a mere spectator to a storm he hadn't anticipated. Jack, listen, I came to warn you before it's too late, Jessica pleaded. Fear twisted her features. They'll drag us through the mud. You won't survive it. Not like this. Pain clawed at Jack's insides. Real or imagined, he couldn't tell. He had worked so hard to recreate himself, to be seen as a success. And you think waltzing in here is going to fix it? You're just making it worse. But the desperation in Jessica's eyes made him falter. The past that he'd fled haunted him now, slinking through the shadows. And suddenly, the bouncer stepped back. Confusion etched across his face, glancing at the crowd. This was no longer about Jack. It was about survival, family betrayal, and secrets that threatened to upend everything. Then a sickening snap echoed through the hall, drowning out murmurs and laughter. A chandelier fell, shattering the opulent illusion above them, glass raining down like a deadly shower. People screamed, a wave of panic surged, shoving bodies toward the exits. Through the chaos, Jack's eyes widened. The sound of breaking glass felt like a final warning. And as he looked back to Jessica, he realized he was faced with a choice, another chance to run or to confront the truth. But now, everything he thought he knew about himself, about Jessica, and this entire world was in peril. And amidst the crashing glass and screams, an unanswered question loomed. What hidden truth would unfold next? The room erupted into chaos, the shattered glass of the chandelier glinting like deadly stars across the floor. Jack felt time slow, a thick blanket of confusion settling over his mind like fog. Each scream rang in his ears, but the world around him was just a swirl of chaos. He could barely focus on Jessica's frantic face, the urgency in her voice barely breaking through the noise. Jack, we have to go, now! She grabbed his arm, eyes wide with pure panic. But before he could respond, the masked figures surged forward, their movements swift and predatory. The energy shifted, the air thickening with tension. Jack's heart raced. Panic threatened to choke him. What do we do? He yelled over the screams. Suddenly, a voice sliced through the tumult, deep and commanding. Enough! It halted everyone in their tracks. A tall figure emerged from the shadows. A man in a crisply tailored suit, his hair slicked back. He carried an air of authority, and his cold gaze swept across the crowd. "Step aside, or you will regret it," he warned, his voice echoing through the wreckage. Jack felt a cold shiver run down his spine. There was something chilling about the man, a terrible confidence that made everyone freeze in place. "Who are you?" Marcus demanded, stepping forward, defiance radiating off him. But fear flickered within his eyes, too. The man's lips curled into a small, sinister smile. "Your worst nightmare, Marcus," he said, glancing back at the masked figures. "This is the moment your illusion of safety falters. Jack's past comes back to collect." Jack's heart sank. What did he mean? "Don't listen to him," Jessica urged, her voice trembling. But suddenly, all felt eerily still, like the calm before a storm. Then, out of nowhere, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder by the second. The tall man's smile faded slightly, irritation crossing his features. "You think the police can save you?" he sneered, glancing at Jack. In that instant, everything changed. A loud bang! 2 gunshots rang out, echoing through the hall like deafening thunder. Jack's breath caught in his throat. The crowd screamed and scattered, ducking for cover. "Get down!" he shouted, instinctively shielding Jessica. Then he saw it. One of the masked figures was on the ground, blood pooling around them, eyes wide and lifeless. The shock washed over Jack like ice water. Confusion turned to horror. But just as the chaos reached a fever pitch, the tall man stepped closer, raising his gun, and shot again. This time, the bullet struck the wall, just inches from Marcus, who froze, eyes wide. "No!" Jack shouted, adrenaline coursing through him like fire. As if by instinct, he charged towards the man. "Stop! What do you want?" The man's gaze flickered to Jack, and for a brief moment, recognition sparked in his eyes. "You think you can outrun your past, Jack? But it's already laid the groundwork. You're connected. You always were." "What are you talking about?" Jack's hands trembled, confusion wrapping around him tighter than before. Suddenly, Jessica stepped forward, her face pale. "It's true, Jack," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You were never just a homeless kid. We're tied to the crime syndicate. Our family?" Before she could finish, the man cut her off. "Your legacy is buried deeper than you know. Your mother made deals that will unravel everything you've built." Jack's mind spiraled. Deals? His mother? The woman who taught him to fight for a better life? "No! You're lying!" "Am I?" The man's voice dripped with malice. "Just wait and see. The truth will shatter your carefully built empire." As sirens grew closer, Jack's heart raced. The truth? It was darkness creeping closer, veins of chaos battling in the light of his triumphs. This was more than just a threat. It was a reckoning. The pieces of his world started to crack open, and with one last look at Jessica, uncertainty carved a new path in Jack's heart. Everything he thought he knew was collapsing in on itself, leaving a gaping hole of doubt, hurt, and betrayal. "What are we going to do now?" he wondered aloud, his voice shaking. With chaos surrounding him, one truth clawed its way to the forefront of his mind. Nothing would ever be the same again. Jack stood frozen, heart pounding in his chest. Jessica's words echoed in his mind, each syllable driving a wedge between the security of his life and the horrors of his past. His mother's name hung in the air like a noose, tightening around him. Every choice he made, every failure he climbed from, was suddenly painted with strokes of betrayal. But before he could fully absorb the weight of her admission, the figure in the suit raised his gun again, that sinister smile spreading. "You think you're safe with family? That's cute," he spat, laughter spilling out like venom. "Stop!" Jack shouted, feeling the chill of fear crawl up his spine. "No one's doing anything else until I understand what this is about." Laughter and screams mingled in the air as the masked figure shifted, tightening their grip on the situation. The crowd surged forward, panic throbbing under every worried glance. It was chaos, a storm of shouting voices, breaking glass, and the sickening realization that danger had crept closer. Jessica's hand shook as she gripped Jack's shoulder tight. "You're not in danger from them, Jack. It's the truth that hunts you." Jack's head spun. What did that even mean? Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the building, rattling windows and sending shards of glass flying. The air cracked with pulse-quickening tension. Chaos swallowed the room. Jack barely had time to react as the ground beneath him trembled. Sirens wailed outside, a chorus to the madness encroaching. Then, from the smoke and dust, a familiar face emerged. Detective Lena, her eyes wild, determination etched across her features. "Jack, we don't have much time." "Lena, what?" Jack started, but she cut him off, urgency propelling her forward. "Your past is coming for you. No time to explain," she yelled, pulling him closer. Again, everything shook. The walls, the screams, reality itself. And with one quick motion, Lena yanked Jack's arm, turning him towards the now exploded exit. "Come on!" she shouted, the fear in her voice striking a new chord in Jack. Just then, Jessica screamed, "Jack, no! Don't listen to her!" Jack hesitated, torn between trust and the potential for betrayal. Was she here to save him or drag him under? But before he could decide, the door burst open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadow, blocking their escape. "Chloe?" Jack breathed, disbelief washing over his features. "Stay away from him." Chloe's voice cut through the cacophony, fierce and protective. Jack's breath caught. Chloe, his childhood friend, the one person he thought he lost. "Get away from him!" Lena shouted, stepping between them, eyes darting unstable as if wrestling with the truth. But Chloe shook her head, stepping forward with purpose. "No, you don't get to decide what's best for him. Jack deserves to know." She was breathing heavily, and for a moment, everything hung in the balance. Then bombshell revelations began to tumble from Chloe's lips, each one shattering Jack's world a little more. He's not just a survivor. Jack, you're not just someone who crawled out of the gutter. You're an heir, a key player in this war. The crowd gasped collectively, breaths held, whispers flaring like embers in the night. What? Jack's heart raced, the implications crashing down like a tidal wave. What do you mean? Your parents were more than you thought. They built empires, and your mother was at the center of it all. Chloe's voice rose above the noise, desperation lacing every word. They're coming back, Jack, looking for what's theirs. Jack's mind reeled. The past he tried to escape wasn't just behind him. It was clawing its way into his present. In a heartbeat, everything shifted again. The tall figure in the suit stepped forward, eyes glinting with that same malicious intent. He'll have to choose soon, family loyalty or the bloodline that runs through him. Jack's chest tightened. Chaos swirled, sirens blaring closer. The ground trembled again beneath him. One truth now stood out among the madness. Everything he thought was gone, his love, his innocence, his way of life, was circling back, poised to consume him whole. And at the heart of it all, Jack realized, was a decision he had to make. But now the implications were shrouded in shadows, and uncertainty was the only surefire path ahead. Who could he trust, and which family did he truly belong to? The weight of 1,000 possibilities rested on his shoulders, whispering perilously in the dark. Jack's heart raced as he took in the chaos around him. The masked figures were closing in, and sirens wailed in the distance. He could feel the weight of expectations, of family ties he had tried to sever, bearing down on him. "Jack, please," Jessica urged, her voice trembling. "You have to trust me. We need to face this together." But doubt gnawed at him. He turned to Chloe, the old friend turned unexpected ally. "You knew all along, didn't you?" She nodded, her eyes filled with urgency. "I had to protect you. We all did." The crowd was a mass of panic, people scrambling to escape. But Jack felt rooted, caught in the whirlwind of revelations. Lena stood nearby, watching him, firm and determined. "You have a choice, Jack. Fight or run away from the truth." Jack's insides twisted like a storm. "What truth? That I'm part of something I never wanted?" The tall man in the suit stepped closer, a threat radiating from him. "You were born into it, Jack." "You can't escape your bloodline. They will come for you. And when they do, you'll either join them or watch everything you love crumble." "Fear won't dictate my choices," Jack shot back, his voice echoing through the fray. It felt empowering to declare his own path, even as anxiety buzzed around him. Suddenly, the ground shook again. A blast echoed from outside. Everyone froze. The massive doors exploded open, and police officers flooded in, taking control of the situation. Barking orders, weapons drawn. "Get down! We have this!" one officer yelled, and the crowd erupted in a new wave of cries. In that moment of chaos, Jack made his decision. Without thinking, he pushed forward, grabbing Jessica and Chloe by the arms. "We need to go, now!" "Are you sure?" Jessica glanced back at Lena. "What about—" "No time!" Jack shouted. He felt the tug of their past clawing at him, but he was determined to forge a new future. With one swift motion, he propelled them toward the emergency exit. Sirens blared outside, merging with the chaotic noise of the crowd. They rushed through the door, the cool night wrapping around them like a comforting cloak. But freedom felt distant. As they emerged, the chaos of the streets sprawled out before them. Cars honked, people shouted, panic still reigniting around them. "Where do we go?" Chloe gasped, glancing back at the club. Jack took a deep breath, searching for clarity in the storm. "We can't look back. We find a place to regroup and figure this out. Together." They stumbled through the crowd, adrenaline pumping, legs working overtime as fear and resolve propelled them forward. But as they turned a corner, Jack felt a sudden pull of unease. A high-stakes game of chance loomed ahead. Somewhere, deep inside, he questioned everything: family, loyalty, the path he walked. Was there hope waiting beyond the shadows? Or would the truth ultimately consume him? The three of them fled into the night, each step heavy with uncertainty. The past and future battling for dominance within him. Whatever lay ahead, Jack knew one thing: this was just the beginning. And as he glanced back one last time, a whisper of doubt crept in. Would his family follow him, or would they be the very chains dragging him back? Now before you go, listen up! You have to subscribe now! Don't miss the thrilling upcoming stories that dive even deeper into the lives of these characters. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so we can keep bringing you the content you crave. Flood the comment section with your reactions and wild theories about this ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this explosive conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even a second longer. Let's keep this community alive.